What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Reports are out that disgruntled Philadelphia 76ers point guard Ben Simmons wants out of Philly. Okay, he wants out of Philly ASAP. Now, of course, we all know that these reports have been out that he was pretty much done with Philly maybe 6 weeks ago, maybe now. It's been out for a while that he wanted to be out of Philly, and that the Sixers had made some gestures to trade him. Teams weren't interested, but now reports are that Ben Simmons is not joking. There's been no change of heart. He wants out. He will not report to training camp. Um, the situation seems more strained and less resolvable than it was with James Harden and the Houston Rockets. So I think they're going to have to get rid of Ben Simmons. They're going to have to. Um, the three teams that he only will play for, apparently, are the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Warriors. Now, let me say this. Um, I, from following this channel, you probably know that I don't particularly care for Ben Simmons. Okay, and it's because of it's more of his attitude. Okay, um, at the end of the day, who the fuck does this guy think he is? And how can you basically say, well, I want to be traded to a contender or a championship level team because I deserve that? Basically, what you're saying. You're basically asking to go to a better situation than what you have in Philly. But in reality, I suspect this he wants to go to California. All three of those teams are in California by coincidence. I don't think so. And this is a guy that loves the nightlife. So you're going to trade him to a team where you have a more open and affluent nightlife than any other state in the United States for the most part. Probably even more so than New York, California, Hollywood, Los Angeles. I don't trust this dude, man. If I'm an organization, yes, he has a lot of talent, man. By the numbers, you know what I'm saying. This is a talented guy. In the regular season, he's going to perform. He's going to give you, if let's say that he moved to the four, he's going to give you solidly every night 16 to 17 points. He's going to give you 10 and a half rebounds. He's going to give you, depending upon his role, 7 to 10 assists per game. Um, but he becomes a liability in the playoffs. And his demeanor, his attitude, it just turns me off. The fact that this guy just refuses to work on his game shows a lack of consideration for teams, laziness on his part, and I wouldn't want that type of guy around if I were a player, a star player especially, any player actually in an organization. Look, Magic Johnson, who by the 1984 NBA Finals, right? By 1984 NBA Finals, Magic had already won two NBA championships. I believe he had won. I got to think about this. I think he had won two Finals MVPs by then. So he was already an established NBA champion, an established superstar. 1984 NBA Finals, Magic had one of the worst series for a superstar in the history of the NBA Finals, trumped probably only by LeBron James. I mean, he had a horrible finals. Basically, Boston's plan, even though Boston would, they would pretty much consider the Lakers a superior team at that time. Boston played upon the weaknesses. They played the percentages. Magic Johnson was not a good outside shooter at that time. So basically, they cut off the driving lanes and they dared Magic to shoot. Magic at that time did not have a consistent jump shot. He missed jumpers, and also uh, Magic Johnson uncharacteristically made bad decisions down the stretch, turning the ball over, not coming through in the clutch as he normally did, and Boston ultimately won that series in 7 games. The media was really, really bad and negative when it came to Magic. This is a guy that already had proven himself to be an NBA champion, but they highlighted the fact that Magic was, you know, only an average free throw shooter at 75%, which is good by today's standards. They highlight the fact that Magic was not a good and dependable outside shooter, unlike Larry Bird, who had the more complete game. So that Magic, as a matter of fact, they called him a terrible nickname, Tragic Johnson. So did Magic take this and say, well, you know what? I'm quitting. Uh, I can't deal with this pressure anymore. I'm quitting the NBA. No, he took the criticism. He worked on his game. By 1987, Magic had a serviceable jump shot. He was eventually expanded to three-point range, and he had developed a junior skyhook. And Magic, toward the end of his career, became one of the best premier free throw shooters in the NBA, usually around upper 80s to over 90% from the foul line. So Magic took the criticisms and took it as a personal challenge to improve his overall play in his game to new levels. Now, granted, the Lakers didn't criticize Magic because he had already shown that he was a player that you could depend on. Just in this particular situation, Magic didn't come through. But Ben Simmons has consistently shown an unwillingness to improve on the offensive end. Yes, he shoots a high percentage because most of his buckets come in the paint, layups and dunks, putbacks. It looks good in the stat sheet, but the fact that this guy can't shoot gets exposed time and time again. And he is the main reason why the Atlanta Hawks were able to win that series against the number one seed Philadelphia 76ers. It was on him. You can put a little bit on other things. You can put a little bit on, the fact that Joel Embiid um, faded down the stretch in a lot of those games. You can put on some other things, but the main reason was Ben Simmons. And he might get mad at the fact that Doc Rivers was non-committal about whether he was a championship level point guard. But at the end of the day, make a liar out of him. Prove to others that you are the player that was once compared to LeBron James when he was drafted some 4 or 5 years ago. Prove to everybody that they're wrong about you. Prove that you are a superstar level player, not just an all-star level player with limitations. I mean, you seem to think of yourself as a superstar with the demands, with the according to your agent, the size of the potential size of your contract as far as what you think you deserve. You think you're a superstar, but you're not. So all in all, I'm like this with Ben Simmons: show and prove. Regular season, as I've said before on this channel, when it comes to the regular season, these guys, it doesn't really improve me. I mean, impress me. Excuse me. The regular season does not impress me. James Harden dropping 50 and 60 points, guys getting triple doubles, doesn't impress me. What impressed me is a guy that can transfer what he does in the regular season and at least replicate it consistently in the playoffs. And some of the greats, some of them, Elijah Wan, Jordan, and to an extent, Kobe Bryant, Bird, Magic, they can even elevate their games. James Worthy's another guy that elevated his game in the playoffs. Look at the numbers. James Worthy elevated his game in the playoffs. That's why he was nicknamed Big Game James. Uh, but that's pretty much all I got to say in this video, man. Tell me what you guys think.